Internet. My name is Hazel from Hazelnuttygames. It is actually Saturday, and we're sitting down to do a vlog to talk about everything that we have found out since the last time I did one of those, which was, I think, about 2 weeks ago. I missed one. But we have had PvP changes in Legion. The changes to the PvP system that are coming in Legion have been discussed at a greater detail by Helenka, who is the head PvP designer, something like that. And so we know a little bit more information about the way things are going to work PvP-wise in terms of progression in Legion. So what they have announced is there will be no PvP gear. There is not going to be a separate set of gear for PvE and PvP. So the first question that comes to mind when you hear that is, oh my god, am I going to have to raid to get my PvP gear? And they also said you will not have to raid to get the best PvP gear. Something that they've said is that in PvP, instead of your stats coming from your gear, once you enter a PvP situation, your stats will actually come from a template that is specific to your spec. So getting different pieces of gear will not change your stats in any way. So you're just running from a specific set of stats, and then your overall power from your gear, your item level will increase your power, but only by a little bit. They say that the difference between a very fresh level 110 and a fully geared best in slot maxed out is going to be about 7%, which is honestly nothing for that big of a gear disparity, especially if you can get some pretty good stuff from PvP sources. So I'm looking forward to that. That seems like it'll be very easy to get new characters into the PvP scene without getting stomped all over while you're trying to gear up, and takes a lot of the guesswork out of PvP gearing and trying to figure out, you know, what stats are best for this setup or this comp in PvP, and what do I want to do with what do I want to enchant, things like that. So in terms of enchants, they said there's going to be no enchants. Enchants will not function. So you don't have to buy enchants for your PvP stuff. And trinkets will also not work. So that means no more PvP trinket. The PvP CC break ability that was on the PvP trinket before is now being put on the talent tree. This PvP talent tree that they're doing instead. And then any other trinkets, like if you get a real dope rating trinket, it's just not going to work in PvP. So I think it's a good, I see why they're doing that. I see that as a step to make sure that somebody who does raid isn't going to be super overpowered stepping into PvP. But I do think it's a little bit of a loss taking away, because you could get PvP trinkets before, and people generally use the PvP ones. And that's just sort of like an extra aspect of gameplay that is being taken away. And hopefully these new abilities that they're adding to the PvP tree help flesh out the PvP game enough that you don't really feel like you're missing those trinkets. Because generally what you would have is you would have your PvP trinket unless you're a human. And if you're a human, you would have your on use and then like a proc. Generally speaking, depending on what you're doing. And your proc would just proc whenever it procs, and that's fine. And then you would just use your on use with your burst cooldowns, which wasn't exactly a interesting decision. I mean, it worked. It's a good thing to do, but I don't think that the loss of that as a gameplay function is going to be too tragic. Also, having the stats on a separate template specific to your spec means that they have really easy tuning knobs, because they can tune those templates specifically so that they can adjust PvP balance without touching PvE balance, which is going to be really good. So overall, I'm happy with the way it's sounding. I'm not really 100% sold. I talked about this last time, the PvP prestige system, where you level up in PvP, you gain PvP levels, and as you do so, you unlock different PvP abilities until you get to 50, in which case you have them all. And then you can reset and go back to having no abilities, basically, in order to gain prestige levels for cosmetic rewards and stuff. I don't really see how that type of gameplay is going to mesh with having like a regular arena team that likes to queue at random times. Like, what if you want to grind out these prestige levels, but, you know, maybe you just reset your prestige and you've got like 3 abilities and none of them are the ones you want, and your team hits you up and it's like, hey, let's queue, we got to make this we're gonna push raiding tonight, and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't. I just gimped myself because I want a pony. I mean, that's not going to go over very well, but we'll see how it works out. And I think that's going to be largely hinged on how long it actually takes to gain these prestige levels, because if they make them a pretty short grind to go from PvP level 1 to 50, but you need like a lot of these prestige levels to get get these rewards, I think that would be okay, because then once you've reset it, it doesn't take you that much time overall to grind back to 50, so you can get to a place where you can play with your friends. But, and then also new players that don't have any interest in the prestige rewards can get to where they want to pretty quickly. And it's still a good sized grind for people that want to grind prestige levels and have a lot of them. So that's my thoughts on that. I am excited about it. And we'll see what happens, especially when we get more information, and particularly once we can PvP on a beta, which is not out yet. In more, what's the word? Not recent, the opposite of recent. Coming soonly. That's not a word either. Upcoming news that is sooner than Legion. 6.2.2 has been announced to be most likely, probably, almost certainly on September the 1st. So not this upcoming Tuesday, but the Tuesday following. Which is it's a long time from the time they originally said they were going to put it out with Flying in Legion or Flying in Draenor, but I'm not real upset anymore because I don't even remember why I wanted to fly. I think it had something to do with pet battles and archaeology. I don't even know if I want to do that anymore. But it'll be nice to have the patch, and they're also adding a number of other things with this patch. We are getting mercenary mode, which will hopefully help alleviate faction-specific queue times. I know they're not going to do it this way, but it would be so funny if in Merc mode you just got the mask instead of like a full body transformation, but I guess I'll survive without it. The thing I'm most interested in, seeing how there's some balance changes that are happening 6.2.2. Shadow Priests are getting a PvE buff, which I'm always happy about. I will never argue with a PvE buff on my Shadow Priest, so hopefully me and the other Shadow Priests from my raid can start doing a little more damage. I mean, we do fine damage just now, but we're going to do better damage. But they have announced racial buffs for a couple of Horde racials coming in 6.2.2, so in like 2 weeks, not in Legion. And they're pretty significant. So the major ones that have been announced is Tauren, Warstomp. Currently on live servers, it is on a 2-minute cooldown, and it is a 2-second stun on a half-second cast time. AoE, of course, up to 5 targets. In 6.2.2, they are reducing the cast time down to 1.5 minutes, so taking away a quarter of the cooldown. Sorry, oh my god, I can't talk. Cooldown's going to 1.5 minutes instead of 2 minutes. Stun is going up to 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds, which is ridiculous. Like, as a druid in Arena, I can imagine myself, like, I've got a DK and a warrior on my butt, and my team is, like, busy, and they can't peel for me. I can Warstomp, send them for 3 seconds, and I could, like, Cyclone one and then blink. And then one of them's in a clone, and the other one's like, well, she's too far away by the time I get out to, like, grip or charge or anything. So I think that would be beautiful on a 1.5 minute cooldown. That is not that bad. So Warstomp buff. Same thing for the Blood Elf AoE. It's getting its cooldown reduced to 1.5 minutes. It is getting its silence duration boosted to like 3 seconds or something. Was it 3 seconds? Something silly. So Blood Elf is going to be really good. That is a pretty intense silence, especially for melee cleaves, but for almost anybody you can make use of that silence. At the very least, it's an extra interrupt on a 1.5 minute cooldown, which you can't really argue with. And then the third best change is the Orc stun reduction passive. Instead of having 15% reduced stun times, they're having 20% reduced stun times, which doesn't sound that crazy, but it's pretty good, especially for getting out of things like if a mage deep sheeps you, or they deep freeze you and they want to polymorph you. It is going to be real tight for that mage to get the polymorph off before you're out of the deep freeze and able to like do something about it somehow magically. So yeah, stun reduction in orcs. There's a couple other changes. I think trolls are having their they have a reduction on snares currently, like movement speed reducing effects have a reduced length on trolls, and that's getting increased. But I don't know if anybody really cares about that because those don't DR as far as I'm aware. Like a concussive shot will not DR. You will be slowed. They're just going to reapply it to you. Slows are cheap in this game, so I don't know if anybody cares about that. But it's a thing. So the result of that in my life is I'm leveling some Horde. I don't know if the entire PvP community is going to switch. The intent from Blizzard was obviously to have some people switch. They want slightly better PvP faction balance to help reduce queue times on top of Merc mode. So we'll see how many people switch to Horde, because Human's still good, but if they said they haven't decided what they're doing with every man for himself in Legion, and if they do the right thing and just axe it completely, or nerf it to the point where it's not worth it anymore and give them something else, I can see Horde being the cool thing to do. So I'm leveling some druids. I may level some other stuff later, but right now I'm just really trying to work on my druid game. I'm leveling a Tauren druid, and I'm trying to make my peace with being a Tauren and not a night elf. She's actually kind of cute. She's got a nice face. I found some leather gear that looks alright on her, and her animations, I'm actually really impressed with female Tauren animations. I haven't looked at them a whole lot, because I always figured if I ever had to be a Horde druid, I'd be a troll. But that Warstomp, so I've been leveling a Tauren druid. I'm going to level a troll as well, because I would really like to have two, so that I can have one that I can push rating on and be like a snob, and then have a second one that I can just play with absolutely anybody if I just want to play with friends or randoms or viewers or whatever for fun. I want to have an extra druid, maybe on both factions if I go full crazy to play with. So I'm going to have a troll as well. But yeah, I'm leveling a Horde. Just for PvP, though. I don't think I'm going to raid on Horde. I can't see myself doing that. I think my guild is in good shape, and there's quite a few people excited for Legion, so hopefully Carbon keeps plugging away into the future. They're also adding flying, but we know that. No, there's nothing more to know about that. And yeah, it's good. So that's about it for WoW. In my real life in 3 dimensions, my peppers on the balcony have started getting peppers on them. They're growing peppers now. Quite a few of them. Like, the plants never got that big. I was really disappointed that my plants, like, they made it to, they're like 2 feet tall, maybe. How big is a foot? 2 feet tall at best. And then, like, they're pretty bushy, but they're not really big like all the other ones I see on the internet. So I was a little sad they didn't get too big, but they have flowers and peppers on them like crazy. And they look pretty happy now that especially now the weather's cooled down a little bit. We're still getting a couple of really hot heat waves here in Oregon, but they're doing pretty good. And I found a little praying mantis buddy. I'd never seen one in person before, but I was watering my peppers the other day, like yesterday morning, and I saw this big stick, and I was gonna go take like the stick out of my peppers because I was like, how did that get there? This is a pretty big stick. And then I looked closer, and the stick had a head, and it's actually a little brown plant. Well, it's a big brown praying mantis. And as of today, he's still out there, so he's my new friend. I think I want to call him like George. I think George is a good praying mantis name. Let's see, do we have any questions? Panther Chain Z wants to know, Hazel, if Legion fails, do you think you will quit? Well, first we have to kind of define what we mean by fail. Like, what does it mean for WoW to fail? Because people have been saying that WoW is dead for a long ass time now, and I'm still playing it. So, what is fail? Is fail if the subs fall below like a certain number, like if they fall under 1 million subs, if they fall under 500,000 subs, if they go free to play, if they decide to take off the subscription model and just go free to play and go full ham on the store mounts. Does it mean if they announce that they're not releasing any more expansions and that's the end of content? Or just if it's bad and people complain about it a lot on the internet? It's really subjective if something's failed, because again, like a lot of people right now are pretty happy with Warlords. Like, obviously Warlords is objectively probably the least amount of content we've ever had in expansion in World of Warcraft ever, but there's plenty of people that are still out there playing and having a great time. And some of them don't even go on fan sites, and they don't watch YouTube videos. They don't really look at Twitter, and they have no idea. They're blissfully ignorant that anybody is this upset about this expansion. So to them, WoD hasn't failed at all, even though most of us would say WoD has been kind of crap. So it's really hard to define when it has failed. If they announce that they're just done and that they're going to keep the servers up, but they're not going to make any more expansions, no more patches, no more sub fee, just free forever, I would probably quit after some amount of time of that. If they said they were not making any more content for it, they were done, and they were moving on to make another game, I would probably look for a different game to play. But as long as they're doing their thing, I'm on the WoW train until the WoW train runs off a cliff and dies. So, well, I'll be here for a while. It would take a lot for me to quit. I've never quit. I started playing at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, like pretty much the same week as the launch of the ICC patch. Never, ever, ever unsubbed. The closest I ever got was the end of MoP during the Siege of Orgrimmar patch. I started logging in like once every 3rd day instead of every day. And I played a whole lot of Dark Souls for a while. But aside from that, I haven't quit. Don't really plan to. And I can't really say like a feature that they could do or could not do that would drive me away. It's hard to say until you see it. So, yeah, if Legion absolutely fails and they just call it quits, I will quit, but I really don't see that happening anytime soon. They said, when they were talking about WoD? That they said, or the 10th anniversary, they're like, all right, we've done 10 years of WoW, and we have 10 more years roadmapped out in terms of the story and planned expansions, at least in some form. So I don't think they're going to be done anytime soon. So that has been my week. If you have any questions you would like answered on a Saturday vlog, just leave them as a comment on the most recent vlog. Of course, if you have a question and you don't want to wait till the Saturday vlog, feel free to drop by the stream anytime I am live. There's a schedule in the description below this video, and I will answer your questions unless they're horribly inappropriate. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.